Well, going from a desiccated and decaying monarchy to the desiccated and decaying presidency of Joe Biden, and his brain as well is also drooping quite seriously. This is just as we're rounding out today's show. This is a big story on NBC News. Inside a Biden White House adrift. Amid a rolling series of calamities and sinking approval ratings, the president's feeling lately that he just can't catch a break. And
Come on, man!
And angst is rippling through his party.
The thing about all of this is that they told you exactly what was going to happen.
Yep, they called their shot.
They said, we're going to do this. They even had the fucking slogan ready. The real slogan of the 2020 Biden campaign, I don't even remember what bullshit they actually went with formally. It was, come on, man. And that's it. That's just like, give me a break. What do you want from me? That's the entire thing. That was always what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, man, is just like it's the way he says it. It's the intonation and the import behind it. It is the slogan for the times we're living in right now. It's what we all feel.
Like we have pressed the same. We only have one button to press as the Democratic Party. We pressed it. We keep pressing it. We got what we wanted, which is to take power from Republicans after they fuck up too much, which is our only way of taking power. We've done it, but now it's at a terminal point where they fucked up that the near-term stability of the system itself is now coming under stress. And they have nothing else to do. So at this point, you just got to throw your hands up. You just got to shrug because it's like this was the only possible thing. That other stuff you crazy people wanted to imagine, that was impossible. If this doesn't work, it's not because we fucked up. It's because nothing would have. That's what it boils down to.
So there are four names on the byline for this story, but it begins here. Faced with a worsening political predicament, President Joe Biden is pressing aides for a more compelling message and a sharper strategy, while bristling at how they've tried to stifle the plain-speaking persona that has long been one of his most potent assets. They're stifling him. They're silencing him.
They're deplatforming him. They're deplatforming Brandon.
They're deplatforming Brandon. He's the president
of Brandon. That's what they should have called this article.
Biden is rattled by his sinking approval ratings and is looking to regain voters' confidence that he can provide the sure-handed leadership he promised during the campaign. People close to the president say, hey, he also promised a bunch of other shit during the campaign. What's the deal with that?
He promised all sorts of shit during the campaign. I mean, it's become a thing where people just dig up like his tweets from 2020 where he's like, yeah, when I'm president, we're going to ban all assault rifles. I'm going to do it personally.
I just love the idea that we're supposed to take it seriously, that he is personally engaged on any of these issues. Like he's here to like, sir, the inflation is real bad, and he just like snaps back to 1978. It's like, well, what if we promise to amnesty all draft dodgers? Will that help us with the hippies? The long hairs will vote for us if we do that. Yes, sir.
Look, he should go ahead and do that. Amnesty, like now, say amnesty the current draft dodgers, just to confuse people. Do a little.
You mean the freaking Republicans?
When it comes to acid, amnesty, and abortion, I think all three should be safe, legal, but rare. Okay, so crises have piled up in ways that have at times made the Biden White House look flat-footed. Record inflation, high gas prices, a rise in COVID case numbers, and now a Texas school massacre that is one more horrific reminder that he has been unable to get Congress to pass legislation to curb gun violence. Democratic leaders are at a loss about how he can revive his prospects by November, when midterm elections may cost his party control of Congress. I don't know what's required here, said Representative James Clyburn of South Carolina, whose endorsement in the 2020 primaries helped rescue Biden's struggling candidacy. But I do know the poll numbers have been stuck where they are for far too long. Congratulations, asshole.
Yes.
I mean, talk about getting what you wanted. Just fucking the idea that he would just be like, oh, I'm concerned about this now. Motherfucker, like, it's on you. It's like you're concerned, you do something about it. He's your guy.
He intervened to ensure that the party stayed in the hands of people who were operating on the same glad-handing principles that constrained them from doing anything effectively, that had run the party into the ground at that point. And you just got what you wanted. Congratulations.
I mean,
once again, they were all hoping that just that just like, because it's another chance something is going to change. Like Biden kept saying that hilarious stuff about how the Republicans are all going to have an epiphany.
He's still saying that. He's still saying that about gun control.
Oh, right,
the other day,
they're rational.
They're going to they'll come to their senses after.
Yeah, they'll come to their senses.
Like last week.
And it's like, I honestly think that he's Senate-brained enough and senile enough to believe that. But I don't even think that your average MSNBC psycho believed that. But I think what they had to believe in is that when you get in there in game time conditions, you'll figure something out. You'll drop a play, Statue of Liberty, Hail Mary, West Wing style, and you're gonna get a button hook through the end zone. It's that's the dream. Like, okay, we're gonna play hardball, and then it all fell apart, and there was nothing there because the margins were non-existent with the Republican Party right there in total opposition. Like, those are the game time conditions that make the sort of Clintonian politics that they're all practicing impossible. They cannot do what they used to be able to do.
And Matt, you're totally right that the MSNBC brain people, like when responding to that like Biden quote where he called Mitch McConnell rational on gun control, of course they didn't believe it, but they defended it on the grounds like, look, in politics, like you can't insult your opponents.
Yeah,
he's
like his opposition is up to his feelings.
Yes.
People talk about how Mitch McConnell is like this tactical genius. He literally could be a fucking tortoise. He could be a tortoise who had an office, and all he had to do, like Homer Simpson when he was like working from home, is tap the button that says no instead of yes. Vent explosive gases, no. That's all you have to do, because he has a unified caucus and control of this fucking machinery, and they have a clear objective. Don't let Democrats do anything.
As long as Mitch gets like one or two leaves of iceberg lettuce to gnaw on every day, just sort of just swallow that down, he's fine.
You cannot triangulate that.
Nope.
And the entire premise of Clintonian Democratic politics that filled the gap left by the collapse of the old New Deal coalition and labor politics was through these baby splitting triangulative negotiations, and they got to all feel like pragmatic geniuses for figuring out how to make this machine work, and they all got praised as gods by Aaron Sorkin types. And you can make an argument that given the conditions at the time where the electorate was, they were doing what the Democrats had to do to hold power. But the thing is, they're still clinging to those strategies when the conditions have changed and made it impossible for them to work. So no matter how less senile the other Democrats are, who like might not agree with Biden's fantasy of like that Republicans switching around, they're also still captured by just as deep a delusion about the conditions that we live on and about how politics works.
Well, okay, like that's one strategy, but like, what are some new strategies? A West Wing shakeup? Speculation is churning that Biden could shake up the West Wing staff, although that's not about to happen right away. Multiple people close to the White House said that they've heard that Chief of Staff Ron Klain will depart at some point after the midterms. Okay, so at that point, It's not really a shakeup. The midterms are already over. I mean, this is the thing, like unspoken in all this is they're like, which
you don't want to change. You don't want to rearrange deck chairs in mid sync.
Wait till it hits the bottom, and then you can. It's all stabilized, and you can rearrange the deck chairs to your heart's content.
Yeah.
We're sending James Cameron down to fix the Democratic Party, and but yeah, like the articles are like which could see his party lose control of Congress in the midterms. Like, does anyone believe? Like, they all accept it. Like, there's no way.
Everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that there is nothing that could happen that's going to stop the Republicans from
every one of these articles that is now going to come out between now and election day and have already been coming out for months. These are all people setting up their alibis with the media. That's it. Where was I and what was I doing when this thing that I know is going to happen happened? So I can't be held responsible.
All right, I mean, like this is just some speculation on how, like, who could come in, blah blah blah. And he goes, sorry, and any assessment of Biden's performance needs to take into account the epic challenges he faced from the start. They came in with the most daunting set of challenges. They came in with the most daunting set of challenges, arguably, since Franklin D. Roosevelt, only then to be hit by a perfect storm of crises, from Ukraine to inflation to the supply chain to baby formula, said Chris Whipple, the author of the book about White House chiefs of staff, who is now writing a book about the Biden presidency. What's next? Locusts?
Well,
Biden wonders the same thing.
Ukraine is one that's like, I'm sorry, this is another deal where you got what you asked for. The Biden administration's diplomatic position on Ukraine and the conditions they imposed on Zelensky were basically guaranteed to provoke an invasion. So that's one where you got to go, I'm sorry. Once again, you got what you ordered perfectly as you wanted it on the fucking menu. What do you want? Stop complaining. Congratulations, you got your war in Ukraine. It's a propaganda machine. You get to dump all this money into the defense. Now what are you going to do? Just complain about it? Just going to bitch about the thing I got?
No, like this is, this is their big W, because, they pulled out of Afghanistan, but where does that $3 trillion in defense spend, defense contractors? Oh, well, Ukraine war, just give Javelin missiles to Nazi Al-Qaeda for the next 30 years. That
no problem there. Awesome. Solve that problem. Fix. But that's the thing. All these things are happening separately. There's no connection. It's little hives of bureaucrats pursuing their bureaucratic objectives, which largely are, in one direction, but politically are totally in conflict. And they have nobody at the top who can coordinate them because there's no disciplinary mechanism to actually impose anything like an agenda on Democrats under any definition of that term.
Under the subhead managerial breakdowns, it says here, amid a rolling
managerial breakdowns,
amid a rolling series of calamities, Biden's feeling lately is that he just can't catch a break. Biden is frustrated. If it's not one thing, it's another, said a person close to the president. An assumption baked in.
President of the United States of America. At what point do you think that this job is not going to be one damn thing than another?
You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps.
Yeah. Remember when Lincoln Chafee ran for president as a Democrat? And he'd been a Republican. He'd been a liberal Republican, the last real liberal Republican in the Senate. But he had some votes that were, pro-conservative. And he gets up there and they go, why did you vote for this? And he goes, you got to understand, my dad had just died. I just got appointed to a Senate seat. I was sad. Like Biden should be like, look, you got to get it, Matt. My old man, he kicked the bucket in 1962. I can still remember it like it's yesterday.
Like he could take out the bow thing again. It's like the burn pits killed him, man.
Yeah, man, burn pits.
He should get in touch with the Make-A-Wish Foundation and wish for some better messaging options.
Because it says, an assumption baked into Biden's candidacy was that he would preside over a smoothly running administration by dint of his decades of experience in public office. Yet there are signs of managerial breakdowns that have angered both him and his party. Biden is annoyed that he wasn't alerted sooner about the baby formula shortage. Okay, that's a lie. Biden is mad that he wasn't alerted sooner about baby formula, period. I don't. He was just like, I thought it came from the titties.
They can make that. They can make that with science now. Since when?
He goes, and that he got his first briefing in the past month, even though the crisis had long been in the making. His nominee to the head of the Food and Drug Administration, Dr. Robert Califf, told Congress last week that the agency was sluggish and that it had made suboptimal decisions as parents hunted for formula on empty store shelves. Beyond policy, Biden is unhappy about a pattern that has developed inside the West Wing. He makes a clear, succinct statement only to have aides rush to explain that he actually meant something else. The so-called cleanup campaign, he has told his advisors, undermines him and smothers the authenticity that has fueled his rise. Worse, it feeds a Republican talking point that he's not fully in command.
No.
The issue came to a head when Biden ad-libbed during a speech in Poland that Russian President Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. Within minutes, Biden's aides tried to walk back his comments, saying he hadn't called for Putin's removal and that U.S. policy was unchanged. Biden was furious that his remarks were being seen as unreliable, arguing that he speaks genuinely and reminding his staff that he's the one who's president. I mean, this is a situation where you've got to sympathize with the staff here.
Yeah, the argument here is that Biden should be able to more loosely threaten World War III. That's the key to his fucking popularity. I guess if the nukes start flying, you don't have to worry about, turnout
baby formula,
Waukesha County.
Look, the staff just needs to get out there and say the thing about Biden is you got to take him seriously, not literally.
The next subhead is Democrats unnerved. Biden's angst is ripping through the party. Democratic lawmakers are sparring among themselves and blaming the White House for their dim prospects in November. Representative Stephanie Murphy, a Democrat of Florida, said the White House has failed to put forward what she called an intellectually honest plan to combat inflation. If I sound frustrated, it's because I hear from my constituents, Murphy said. They're struggling. This is not a time for political games. It is not a time for finding boogeymen. And then under Biden's frustrations, it says here, Biden has vented to aides about not getting credit from Americans or the news media for actions he believes have helped the country, particularly on the economy. Unemployment rates have dropped to below 4%, pre-pandemic levels. But polling indicates that Americans believe the economy is in bad shape. Biden grouses that Republicans aren't getting their share of the blame for legislative gridlock in Congress, while he's repeatedly faulted for not getting his agenda passed.
He's the president.
he's the decider.
I mean, he's complaining that the same kind of like loose attention that people mostly pay to politics that makes them kind of casually associate the president in power with whatever is happening, and you can say that's unfair. And that's what he's complaining about. But it's that same attitude towards politics that lets a fucking guy like Joe Biden end up president in the first place.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Once again, these are the politics that have allowed you to flim-flam your way into the fucking White House on some fucking fake Irish bullshit. Some fucking glad-handing fucking VFW song and dance. And part of that is that these people think the president's in charge. Well, now you're in charge of them. What are you going to do about it? Quit fucking whining. Again, shut the fuck up.
And like this kind of frustration, Matt, that you're talking about, like I see this from like sort of Democrat MSNBC brain people when people like whether it's Texas or like guns or like baby formula, when people are just like angrily just say like do something like this is what we elected you for. The stock response I'm seeing a lot of now is, it's a shame America stopped educating kids in civics. Because if everyone took civics classes, they would understand that the president really can't do anything. And if you were educated, you would know that. You would stop complaining. Going on here in the article, it says here, the president has also told aides he doesn't think enough Democrats go on television to defend him. I'm sorry, this is Donald Trump shit. This is Trump brain.
I'm not seeing it on the TV. They're being very unfair to me.
He goes, a particular sore spot is his slumping poll numbers. He's mystified that his approval rating has dropped to a level approaching that of his predecessor, Donald Trump, ranked by historians as one of the worst presidents in history. He's now lower than Trump, and he's really twisted about it, another person close to the White House said. Man.
Look, I feel like in any team sport, when you're paying attention to the stats and the Hall of Fame and everything like that, you're taking your eyes off the game,
Honestly, this is glory boy behavior. This is not lunch pail 9 to 5 president.
And from Joe Biden, who we're told, it's a lunch pail president.
It's supposed to be about the W's. It's supposed to be about the rings, not about individual statistics.
Yeah, I mean, like Jimmy Butler, 45 points in Game 6. Where was he in Game 7? Celtics in the finals now. There you go. This is a diva-style presidency. Wait, sorry, this is really good. A few weeks ago, Biden started employing a midterm election tactic that has been a go-to for sitting presidents: villainize the opposition. He has sought to tether Republicans to Trump's "Make America Great Again" agenda, but Biden has been leaning on Biden has been leaning on White House aides to come up with a message that captures the stark choice voters face. Biden himself thought up the phrase "ultra MAGA," which he and other Democrats have started using in hope of drawing a clear.
How are they letting this guy wither away in the White House? Why aren't they putting him front and center every day with this messaging? Michelob Ultra MAGA.
It's like, wait a second, how do you have to do work to tie the Republicans to Trump's agenda? They literally say everyone who's running for office right now as a Republican is just literally saying, "I'm Ultra MAGA."
And they've just found there's the limit to how much people care about that once you get to a sufficient level of polarization in the electorate. They're going to vote for Republicans no matter what. They no longer care about your notions of political decency. The people who do is this very small and shrinking cadre. And when the economy and shit is bad, the party in power gets fucking owned for it.
Yeah.
And that means that people are not going to, they don't have the it's only really Democrats who have that. And partisan ones who are never going to vote for Republican anyway, and you can always depend on, and therefore basically meaningless when you're talking about actually building power. You assume them. They have these ideas connecting Trump and to the notion of evil and horror. Mm-hmm. The Republicans imagining representing his return. That's just Democrats. And you can't win, certainly can't win fucking midterms with that.
It says the phrase tested well in polling reviewed by the White I'm sorry, this is like Death of Stalin shit.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, yes, sir, we've tested the Ultra MAGA. Like the people very much like this idea.
The people are weeping about Ultra MAGA. They're begging for your help to save them from Ultra MAGA.
And it says
Biden should just do like Trump stories where he's like, I was talking to a guy the other day, a real Mac, and I said, he's Republican. They're Ultra MAGA. And he, strong guy, biggest guy I've ever seen, started weeping in front of me and said, Sir Joe, please protect us from the Ultra MAGA.
We're gonna get Gamera. He's gonna defeat the Ultra MAGA.
He is friend to all children. Gamera will bring many baby formulas.
No, I think the way that the Biden administration ends with like the way he's just totally morphing into Trump when in power, just this impotent, senile man baby just banging a spoon on a fucking high chair, is one day he comes out for like his State of the Union, and it's like the end of 1984. He's got the full Trump hairdo. Like, he's replaced his awful fucking plugs with the complete mane, and he looks identical, and he's bronze. He's like fucking Cheeto colored. And it's just like, that is it. That is the apotheosis of the American presidency. And then right at that moment, the nukes fly. And we all get to go out on a nice high note.
Listening to Macho Man.
This might be terrifying, but this is narratively satisfying. I will accept this.
I'm going to do the jacking off to you guys. It's Macho Man. As I see Lower Manhattan just turn into an orb of sunlight, of just the sun. Like Akira. Macho Man. I want to...
Do the little hands.
I'm just jacking off, guys. I'm sucking them off. I'll just do it at a time. I love it. Just sorry, finish out this paragraph. It says here, the phrase tested well in polling reviewed by the White House, but it also had the unintended effect of firing up the Trump faithful.
Oh no!
Merchandisers have found a hot market for Ultra MAGA T-shirts. He shares
the view that things are like tied to each other, and it's like a dialectical relationship. And you can't pump up one without pumping up the other one.
He shares the view that we haven't landed on a winning midterm message, a third person close to the White House said of the president. And he's putting a lot of pressure on people to figure out what that is.
See, I'll tell you fix the things, people. Get back to me. Now, this is leadership. This is delegation of power and responsibility. Fix the things, please.
See, I love the word messaging, which is in the first like sentence of this article. Whenever I like dip into like MSNBC or like check in on the Pod Save guys, all they're talking, it's never about wonder if we did something, wonder if we had an accomplishment, wonder if we changed the material conditions. No, it's messaging. The messaging is never good enough. We're never conveying to the people how good things already are. Yeah,
we are. People who are smart and pay attention to the damn news know that things are actually really good.
Unemployment's down.
The smart knowledge, the real like truth beyond the veil is that things are objectively doing well, and that the administration is objectively doing well. But we have all of these foolish blinders that we won't let us see it. And it's up to us, the geniuses, the mentats of the Democratic Party, to somehow fool these idiots into finally seeing the reality that's in front of them.
And it can kind of go into really ghoulish places, like, after the Roe memo leaked, I was seeing some people in those corridors being like, obviously this is terrible, atrocious for women's rights, but the messaging, our base, when we can get them scared about these things, if we can keep messaging how bad things will get if you don't keep voting for us, that will actually put us in a really good position for the midterms. We can just talk about how, like, basically just scare our voters as hard as we can.
Because that's the only button that they've been able to press for the last 20 years. That's all they can do.
Okay, here we go. I've got a winning message for the Democrats for the midterms and 2024. It's this. The Democrats, we are living in the best of all possible worlds.
Yeah.
Yes. There we go.
Dr. Pangloss is the new VP. Get rid of fucking Kamala Harris. Of course, the funny thing is that it is, in fact, that fantasy of like an objective reality of like democratic competence and success, policy success, like the idea of a upward trajectory. That's the actual propaganda fantasy. That's the actual veil, and it's actually just the people who are not like literally hypnotizing themselves every day so that they can go to fucking sleep, given what they do for a living. Can actually see, no, it's actually bad. And we don't actually have to have terribly sophisticated understandings of the issues. We don't actually have to bury ourselves into the wonk papers to see that. You do that to enchant yourself. Like fucking Ezra Klein in the New York Times saying, you guys, you just got to get less lawyerly. You just got to stop lawyering up so much.
And then maybe we'll build some tunnels.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my closing thoughts about this is like, essentially the problem here is that as they seem to acknowledge, like, why did people vote for Joe Biden? Why did he win? Well, it's because they were sick of Trump, and like what he said, like nothing will fundamentally change. It was this idea that people were just tired of all the weirdness. They
wanted to return to normalcy.
They wanted to go back to normal. Here is the problem that the Democrats face, and that Biden, the midterms, the next presidential election, just everything in general. Since Biden has become president, things have gotten weirder and weirder and weirder. It has not gotten even one iota more normal. In fact, it has gotten exponentially stranger with every passing day. And people just don't see a way out of that. So like, to return to Trump, like if he runs again, or the Republicans, like Trump's 4 years in the White House, that looks more normal.
That was normal.
To people. That's now the new normal. So
yeah.
if there's people who want to go back to that.
Perhaps the winning message for some kind of new figure on the left, maybe a Democrat, maybe some kind of independent, is just really going, let's get weird with it. Things are already weird. Let's see how weird we can get.
Let's get fun weird, at least.
Yeah,
this is like
fun
nauseous, kind of creepy weird.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to them. I mean, honestly,
yeah, absolutely.
I just think.
Let me know how it goes.
I seriously think, though, that Trump, he's probably going to run again, but who are the Democrats going to turn to right the ship? Like who's walking through that door? It ain't Kamala. It ain't Joe. It ain't Joe. But
Pete
who's still out?
Buttigieg?
Know who's still out there though? Our girl Hill Dog. You think she has stopped thinking for a second that she could still be president? Like,
honestly,
they're going to turn to her to save them again. Like, she's going to go.
I mean, because then
third time's the charm. Third time's the charm.
She could then stand for like a time of even more normality for the older voters to think of. Like, hey, remember me before things got weird the first time?
And if the last couple of years has proved anything, it's that like anyone who offers predictions about the future is a fool and doesn't know what they're talking about. But I just have a feeling that we have not seen the last of Hill Dog as a national political figure running for president or being president.
Yeah, she's got that Tom Brady thing. It's like she can't leave a conversation. I mean, look who has won. She just has to feel like, if I could, I'm so much smarter and more driven than these idiots, that if I put myself to it, I could do this. But we'll see. I don't know.
We shall see. But just the future. It's where we are all going to live.
Yeah. Good luck. Wear a helmet.